Good morning, West Virginia. How is everyone? Woo! Ah, great to see everyone. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Woohoo! Today is Friday, yes. And we are so thrilled to have an opportunity to have one more shot at working with this group today. So we are going to jump right in and see what we can do about tuning our team time. You folks have been such a great group to work with this week. We've been talking about that offline, about how much fun it's been and how much you bring to it. So we appreciate your spirit. I just wanted to make a quick point. So what we were doing there from 9 to 9:05 is the same thing that you folks think about doing when you're waiting for the next bus to arrive, right? So many of you have those like lags between groups of students coming from potentially from different schools to come to your center. Bam. So, there's always an opportunity to have something there that they can work on and learn from. So thank you for you folks who designed new emojis for Friday. Love that. Okay, let me just make sure we're recording. There we go. So good morning. There was a question in the chat. I haven't seen the chat, so it sounds like it's a lot of fun, but when you do these things, you can save the chats, right? So you can go back and look at them. So you want to be thinking about all these strategies for you working with your students. But I must say there was a question that came through the chat about the recordings for these sessions this week. We have recorded them, and we are going to make those available with the help of our Department of Education people, which I'm going to ask them to say good morning in just a moment. So they have a place on their website that is for their professional development materials that they upload, and they're going to be uploading all those links for you all. So, and they will send out directions on where to get that. We're going to do that. I'm going to organize those over this weekend for you and have those ready to go first thing this next week. So appreciate that. So you can get in there and see what we've been talking about and what we've been listening to. Bob Stokes, let's give a round of applause. If you know your reaction button for Bob Stokes putting together the most amazing playlist for this morning. The reactions are down at the bottom. Yes, you can clap away.
That was a labor of love, folks. You all know my playlist taste. That was perfect. I had more fun doing that than anybody yesterday.
That's great. That's great. All right. May I ask my colleagues, give me a thumbs up if it's good and we've got the emoji screen on. We're rolling. Okay, super. So good morning. It's great. Thank you for your patience as I drive, because I'm a speedy driver on the road, but not as much here. So I'm thrilled to have Deborah Cullen, who you might have met if you've been with us this week. She is back, and she's here to help. And Bob Stokes, who you've met through his playlist passion. So thank you both for being here. Could I take a moment, please, before we get into the thick of it, and ask our Department of Education folks if they would be willing to introduce themselves. I think we have Ms. Torres with us. Ashley, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning. My name's Ashley Torres. I'm the Health Science Education Coordinator and as well as the LPN Practical Nursing Coordinator.
Awesome. Great to have you with us, Ashley. And I know you've got a huge, power group across the state with health educators. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Great instructors too. And I see someone here, so I'm glad they've joined.
They're always so creative and lovely. And yeah, thank you everyone for what you do, really. Thanks, Ashley, for joining us. Do we have with us Mr. Elliott? Tim Elliott? Of
course. There he is.
There he is. He's in the command central.
Live from the Johnson Space Center.
Could you introduce yourself, Tim, just in case? Yeah.
My name is Timothy Elliott. I also work in the office with Ashley Torres. I oversee IT, AV, and robotics. And if James is on here, I'm going to, let him know that Doug Sands is one of my teachers this year. So I'm extremely excited to see Doug in the chat. He has switched over to the dark side, so I appreciate it, Doug.
That's great. I didn't know that Doug went to the dark side. I guess it's something to fight over him, though. I would be fighting over Pastor Sands as well. And I do we have Mr. Gilman with us this morning? If you're with us, could you also say hello if you can unmute? Oh.
He was in another meeting, so he might be joining us here in a minute or two.
Okay,
so
thank you,
you might
Tim.
give him a little bit. He was in another meeting.
Sure, sure, sure. I just was excited. I thought I saw his name come across the waiting room. And so very excited that Mr. Gilman, who, folks, is our new Career Technical Education Director for the state of West Virginia. So congratulations to Mr. Gilman on that. Our Dr. Sherry Nash has recently retired. I think that at the end of kind of over the summer there, that transition happened. So we are excited to have Mr. Gilman in that leadership role too. Anybody else from the Department of Ed? I want to make sure we have our WVDE team.
James is
Mr.
walking
Coe.
in as we speak.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll give him a second to get settled in. So thank you so much. So, you know, why do you think we would be looking at team time this morning? Right? Student team time, student meetings. Why would we be looking at that? Come on, who's feeling spicy? Tell me why that's important.
They need to be well organized so that effective.
Yes, Jennifer, if I think I lost you, but yes, I think you were saying like helping keep them organized and
Yeah, they need to all.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Absolutely. You know, not that it wasn't a big hint, but team meetings and student meetings are one of the simulated workplace protocols. And so I'm thinking, you know, that's a great thing for us to wrestle with. And I was inspired by you all this week because I've noticed that over and over and over again, you were pointing out the richness of collaboration that we need to figure out and be committed to providing students opportunities to collaborate during this crazy time. Whether it's going to be that they're collaborating without you, like out in their own time, in their own space, or whether they're going to be collaborating with you, whether that's real time or you record some things, however that is, we really want to press that, the importance of making sure that happens. So this came up to the top as one of your interests of like, well, then how do we maximize team meetings and student meetings and make them the best we can make them using our virtual savvy? So I'm excited to see all these folks on here today. I think Mr. Coble has joined us. Could we have James introduce himself in case there's somebody on here that hasn't met Mr. Coble?
Hello, everyone. My name is James Coble. I get to work with the West Virginia Department of Education, the Office of Career and Technical Education, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Happy to have you. I love how you say that, James. You said, I get to work with the Department of Education. Yes, you do. That's awesome. So thank you so much. All right, well, let's jump in, folks. Oh, and quickly, I did want to point out, oh, good, Deanna's joining us, I think. I did want to point out that Deborah and Bob have put, most likely have dropped a link in the chat. So if you can find your chat, there should be a link, and that link is to open up the action agenda. Keep in mind, folks, the action agenda is a strategy that we use because we find it easy and central and efficient as a way to gather and organize all the materials and resources that you're going to want for your students. We're just throwing that out as an idea. Also, you can use it, right? It just becomes one link, and then that link opens up the whole world for them. So if you're thinking about project-based learning this fall, which would be a great way to think, you can organize your project materials and resources all on an action agenda for them. So just a reason, that's the reason we do it. So please put it in the chat if you're having difficulty accessing your action agenda, and we will help you with that. So I'd like
Kathleen?
to ask you to jumpstart right away. Go ahead.
Kathleen, let me pause you just for a second. I'm going to take over sharing the slides. You tell me when you want to advance because you're getting choppy. I think your computer's struggling trying to keep up with both.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
I will.
part of it.
I guess I will hide my face too. Nobody's going to argue with
Let's do
that.
that. This should do it.
Yes, sorry.
This should
They're like,
take
we
care
don't
of
care
it.
if we see that crazy lady. All right, there we go. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to ask folks to be feisty this morning and go for the annotation function. Just a quick reminder, if you're looking at your screen, you should have a green bar that says you are viewing Bob Stokes' screen. Up there it says view options. And if you pull down that caret, it will give you options and there should be an annotate. You pull that up and you will see a bar, see the bar, and then you have all those functions. So we'd like to have you grab an arrow or a stamp or anything, or a draw function, anything you'd like. And I'm going to ask you the question on the screen. So looking at these 4 scenes. Oh no, I'm sorry. This isn't an annotate. That's where I am on Friday. You can annotate and let me know which is your favorite. But in the chat, I would like you to, thank you, Jed. In the chat, I would like you to, and Bob or Deborah, could you put a little marker on there that says common for me? I'd like you to put in the chat any thoughts you have about thank you, Deborah. What do these scenes have in common? What do they have in common? Colleagues, let us know what flavor's coming through. Oh, powerful. Look at all that. Teamwork, 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 right? Yep.
Common goal, coordination.
Oh, I love that. Ooh, Mike Jackson. Serious score from Calhoun Gilmer. Achieving a goal. Travis. Oh, gosh, I love you. Oh, Oscar, nice one. OSHA violations. Jenny. The McCormicks are the spiciest people I know. You got to love them. All right. So thank you. So now, oh, thanks for the hearts on the Amish. So now, yes, Jed, hard work. Absolutely. So now if I could have one of my colleagues put in the chat a marker, we call it a marker in the chat, they're going to put the word contrast. And I would like, thank you, Deborah. So you can use that to organize your chats. It's just a quick technique. And let's see what you want to drop in the chat. What do these 4 scenes have in contrast? Contrast. Oh, Mr. Elliott, I love your cute sidekick there. Way to go. Oh, interesting, Chris. Group size. Yes. Thank you, Chef. Nice, Mandy. Interesting, urgency. Love it, love it, love it. Different skills. Look at that. Interesting, right? Sense of urgency. Yeah, yeah.
Like that difference of complexity as well. That's interesting.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Thank you so much for playing. I love that. I love that. Yeah. So when you think about this is setting us up. You folks have done a beautiful job of setting us up, right? Ooh, I wondered if somebody would say tools, right? Needed to accomplish goals. So you nailed it. You just set us up for this morning together. And it's going to be a quick morning. So in common is the beautiful synergy, right, that each one of these scenes have to achieve a goal. The goal is different for each one, obviously, but to achieve a common goal is it. So if we're thinking about our simulated workplace student teams and the power of a common goal, and that's what makes team time so powerful, right? In contrast, your students bring with them, right, different tools, different complexities of like what talents do they bring to the mix, and can we maximize those talents? And different team events have different expectations, right? There might be a team event where you're just wrapping into something that's pretty functional, but you might also be gathering around something that's really meaty. So appreciate that. You've really nailed it. Thanks for playing. And I'm sorry I set you up for annotation. It's just kind of where my head was because I was excited about the emojis. Bob, if we can drive. Thank you so much. All right, so here's our objectives for this morning. We're going to look at and ask you to look at effective meetings and ineffective meetings and think about how you can set the stage for your students this year in terms of maximizing your student meetings with them. And then we're going to explore some tools and techniques, and we're super excited. We might end a little early this morning, but we have for you just a little wrap-up game at the end. We just couldn't help ourselves about the whole week for you folks that have been with us through thick and thin, because we know Calhoun Gilmer's been through it all. We know South Branch, we know Mauve Tie. So we thank you so much for being with us. We're gonna have fun. Yay, West Virginia. All right, we'll keep moving. Bob, thanks. Unless I can move the slides. I'm sorry, I think you have to drive for me, right? Okay. Yeah, So why do team matter? Why do they matter in this disrupted time? Now I'm going to ask you to annotate. So I think this is an interesting question. I really want to get your thoughts on this. So I have some white room on the screen. You can actually annotate right on the screen. So if you'll go up to that green bar, as I talked about before, and you can find view options, you can pull down view options and you'll see the function of annotate. You should see the function of annotate, and then come on here and give us, you can either pick, I think there's an option of text. Yep. So you can type, you get yourself a little text box like I'm doing, and you can type right on the screen. So give us a minute, try that out, really work your annotation skills, and give us some thoughts about why bother focusing on team matters during this crazy time. Really think about that with us. And if you're really not interested in annotation, you can throw it in the chat. We'll talk it for you. Or if you want to raise your hand and talk, please do. Love that. Hello. Nice. Whoops. Hey, Bob, I do think there's a, oh, good. Tim has his hand up. Just a second, Tim, and I'll get to you. Bob, I think there is, or Deborah, there's a strategy when you use this with students that you can, is it the driver, the host can move the things around? Can you talk about that?
As soon as I figure it out, I will.
Oh, so as you notice, sometimes when you're asking students to annotate and they're texting, like they're writing on the screen, sometimes their answers will come on top of each other. You can, as the host, you can move those around. So you can make sure everybody gets their due white space. This is fabulous. Tim, thank you so much. Let me give you the mic. What are your thoughts about this?
And I starting to see them a lot in the slides as people are starting to type. But one of the things, seeing it from the side of our teachers and also seeing it from the side of a elementary school student that's wanting to be a part, it's having that connection, still being able to talk with other people, still having that ability. I tell Deanna all the time that Monday afternoon get together, breakout sessions that they had, a lot of the times it just allowed the teachers to just talk to each other. You know, it's not that I was going to say, but it's not like we were tired of our surroundings, but we just wanted to expand our social group during this COVID, that it just allowed us to have conversations and just to be able to share what they're going through, what's going on, and how we can assist and help each other. So that's one of the things that I've absolutely seen in the teams is, you know, being able to carry on those conversations, and you wouldn't realize, and I know all of our other teachers probably do, but you wouldn't realize even, you know, at the age of 6, when they all get on together, the first 5 minutes of their class is all the kids talking to each other. Hey, what are you doing? What'd you get? What's going on? What's in the background? They just want that social connection, and being social, I think, is the huge part of this.
I agree 100% with that, Tim. I have encouraged lots of teachers even to have a time where the kids just have a Zoom to talk or have anything. Like, it doesn't, I said, once again, let's do a show and tell again with kids. Let them have time to just be social. As far as I'm concerned, that's going to help later on too with classroom management. They've had that time to get out their fun things and their stories and all those kinds of things. And then when it comes class time, it might be a little easier to manage.
And I'll tell you, and then I'll mute myself again, and Mr. Coble can talk about this. It was very unique because this week we got to give a presentation to Braxton County. And the first half of the training, they didn't turn their camera on. So it was really unique to try to have a back and forth when it was just audio and we couldn't see their facial expressions, and we couldn't see when we said something, are they even there? I think James made the joke of, I feel like they're on Amazon. Oh, you guys did. Oh, okay. At the beginning of this week when you're like, all right, now that you're done listening to us and come back from Amazon. But it's, you know, and I think you said it best, having that opportunity with your students to turn their camera on just to see their face, just to see their facial expressions, making that connection sometimes is really important, because it was very unique just talking to a TV and it just being James and me next to each other, almost like it was just us carrying on a conversation.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Absolutely. I love that you captured that. And I love your sidekick. I hope everyone can see her. She's adorable. That's awesome. Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for participating. Yes, Ashley. I was hoping, there you go. Yes, Ms. Torres. So in the chat, she's talking about social isolation, right? So we're we want to be very cognizant of the fact that students, we are all going through this together, right? And so this is a social and emotional aspects of this are also very, very important to think about. So I love that you've all honed in on staying connected, being connected. I also love, and some of you have been spicy because you changed the color of your text. I love that. Is that I love the one that says still need to prepare them for what they're going to do in the workforce, right? We still have a job to do, which I appreciate that you recognize. And I'll tell you, no matter what environment or platform, students need to be able to function in teams. I mean, not Microsoft Teams, that would be great too, but they need to function together. They need to be able to collaborate in a really effective way. And that's actually a really important skill. And I bet you know some adults that don't do that very well, right? It's not an assumed set of skills that we can say, oh, just because we throw these kids together, these students together, that they know how to function as a team. It's a learned set of behavior and skills. So I appreciate that you recognize how important that is. Thank you so much. Yes. Bob, may we go? Thank you. All right. Oh, thank you for clearing it. So Bob has cleared the annotation. Okay. So this is going to be fun, I think, but I do need to do a disclaimer, and I really am hopeful that our Department of Ed people are okay with me doing this. And if you need to fire me, please just fire me at 11:05 when the session's done, or 10:45 whenever we're done. Okay. So sometimes the way to look at it, like what a good meeting is to think about bad meetings. So I wanted to show, and Bob's going to help me and Deborah, a little video clip of a brainstorming session, and I want you to watch for like the crazy stuff, right? Now, here's the disclaimer. There is one F-bomb in there, and it's bleeped out. So I'm hoping that nobody's too offended because it is bleeped out. I did find the cleanest version I could. So I'm hoping that you're okay with that. But I just think it's an interesting clip to use. So if I may, I'm going to set you up. All right, so be watching and see what you see. There we go. All right, Bob, and can you optimize your sound for us like you did with the music?
Doing it right now.
Okay, so take a moment, everyone, and watch for what is the worst.
All right, everyone. I want us to think big, okay? I want to just splatter ideas against a wall and see what they look like. Maybe it'll be a map of America. Maybe it'll be Barack Obama's face. I'm not saying we need to get political, but let's be open to that. I've been thinking of something myself, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Social media.
Oh yeah, Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Instagram, Snapchat,
Periscope, ping pong.
Oh, ping pong.
Yeah, ping pong. Because the dark web.
What about an idea that I can eat?
Cupcakes.
Like a 3D printer for food ideas.
That would be a food D printer.
Someone write that down.
Yeah,
Everyone
I wrote all
write
it down.
that down.
Yeah.
Let's share the profits of charity.
Okay, no. Never say something like that. There are no stupid ideas, but that's idiotic. It just lets be a warning to everyone. Please don't have thoughts like that. And if you do, don't share them. Come on, guys. We're all smart, driven communications majors from Harvard between the ages of 28 and 32 who grew up in Scarsdale on the north side of Route 22. We can do this.
Actually, I'm 33.
Get the out.
Happy birthday, Jim.
Hey, thanks, Bob.
All right, guys, let's get this thing moving along. Whoever gives me the most ideas gets the next 3 Fridays off.
We got to utilize robots.
Robots that are friends with other robots.
Animal robots, that's another idea.
Robots on top of robots.
Brunch robot.
Robots that you have to fight to survive.
Invisible robots.
Small robots, tall robots, medium robots. Robots that are your friends. Robots you can stick in your pockets. Hugging robots, laughing robots, sad robots, happy robots, fearful robots.
Robots that feel things for you so you don't have to feel things anymore.
I like that. I want to hear about feelings, but I want to hear about them faster.
Okay, happiness, sadness,
We no longer feel
anger,
feelings. We just
scared.
you feel like metal on the inside.
How many ideas is that?
I haven't actually been writing down those ideas. I've been writing down top 10 ways to get rid of my beach body for fall.
Mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. It makes me laugh every time because you may have experienced something in there. Yeah, so I hope it wasn't too off color for you all. I just think it was Little John. Thank you for the hand clap. Yeah, I mean, when you've been there, you've been there. I just think it's, yeah. So what did we see, right? So put the chat on fire for us, man. I mean,
I'm sorry, but I have to share this one thing. Someone said LMMO, laughing my mask off.
Oh.
That is, it's Craig Canterbury. That is the new texting. That's hilarious. Laughing my mask off. Okay, sorry, I had to share.
that is prime. Thank you. That was Mr.
Craig, let me see here. What was
Oh
his
yeah,
name?
Craig. Yeah, thank you, Craig.
Canterbury.
Canterbury. Thank you, Mr. Canterbury. That's hilarious. Yes, right. So I think sometimes it's fun for students as well to think about, okay, what makes it's almost like they don't notice if they're doing it, but if they watch somebody else doing it, it's kind of a lot more poignant, right? So yeah, chaos. So put in the chat what you saw. What contributes to a bad meeting? What is it that's really, yeah. Sorry, is that my square, Bob, on there? I don't know. Throw something in the chat. Excellent. Oh my goodness. Deborah, what are we seeing that really resonates?
No direction, rudeness, no focus, no clear objective. Brian says no food. I think that's a definite problem. I think there should always be food at a meeting. Foul language and kicking out experienced people over 40. I think so too, Annalise. A dominant speaker, getting off topic, poor leadership. Still say the food one's the best though.
That's great. That's great. Yes, no rationale. Thank you so much for nailing it.
Thinking. I like that.
Oh yeah. Thank you, James. Defeat of communication. Yeah, right. And I mean, I think it's certainly over exaggerated as an example, but I'm telling you, those things happen in team meetings all the time. So yeah, I'm still trying to recover. Oh, Pastor Sam. From watching that, you mean? I'm sorry. Oh, goodness. Yeah, you're so special. We don't want to do that. Oh, my goodness. Bob, thank you so much. If we can advance. Thank you. All right. All right, we did that. I think we got the chat flowing. Thank you. If we can keep moving. All right. So this is what we'd like to do now. We'd like to take your thoughts about what makes a bad meeting, and we want to transfer that to thinking strategically about how to help your students. So we want to focus, right? Because you folks are not necessarily going to have students for as much time and in very different ways this fall. So we want to think about being really efficient with our work with them. So I would like you to consider the question that's on the screen based on what we know makes a bad meeting, like some of those juicy ideas you came up with, and think, okay, so if those are what happened to make a bad meeting, what's the top challenge for my students? When I observe them in meetings, when I hold meetings with them, what really is challenging for them so that we can go right to the jugular. So we're going to do that through our tool that if some of you were with us earlier in the week, we used Mentimeter. We're going to do that. I think I'm going to try to use my screen. Should I try that, Bob?
Either way.
Either way, or we pull up. So in the chat box, Deborah, would you be willing to throw, we have a link that we can provide you, Or if you're in your action agenda, there should be a code that you can use. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Yes, okay. Excellent. There's the code.
That's the right code?
I think so, yep. 6681761, yep. Awesome. All right, so he's juicing it up.
You'll see when you get on there.
Yes, that's what you'll see. Okay, excellent. So it's a poll. So I'm going to ask you to find, and you can rank and figure out which one is the top challenge for you. Appreciate that so much. All right. And then we will look at the results. You want me to pull up the results, Bob?
Yeah, I think you'll have to since you started it.
All right. Can I stop sharing the screen?
I got you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You can go ahead and take it all back over now if that'll help.
Drive between the different tools. So here we are, and I should be able to, has everybody gotten the link or the code and they're able to get in there and vote? Let's give you just a minute. What is the top challenge that you see your students face when they're trying to hold, or they are holding effective team meetings, so that we can help them through this? All right. All right. So we have votes coming in. Oh, it's changing. Interesting. So your students can watch this. So Mentimeter is free, as we said before. It's a great little quick tool that you can use to, because you're actually using their data and their thoughts to craft your tempo of your work with them. And so students tend to really, everybody appreciates, right, their thoughts being included in the agenda. Oh, that one moved up to second. Fascinating. Nice. Any other folks? Yeah, take your final votes and we'll see what comes out on the top. Boy, it's like a tight race, isn't it? It's a tight race between the top three, it looks like. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Ooh, there's like a three-way tie. Oh, there was, sorry. How many, can we see how many people voted? I think so. Yeah. All right. So let's screen capture that and see what that tells us. So from your perspective, it looks like your students have the most challenge with moving the work forward. Right? Excellent. Productive use of time. Yeah, that can be tough. It can be tough for all of us, right? Have you experienced that? As a member of a faculty or, you know, in your work life, no clear objective or meeting purpose came up pretty strong. And so did, oh, the third one's also powerful. Well done, folks. These are big ones. Yeah, dealing with holding all team members accountable. Yeah, that is tough, right? Because that's that jive between slackers and those that like want to get her done, and that can be tough. Yeah, any thoughts on that? Feel free to add anything to the chat, but that seems to be our results. Yeah, our results. Thank you for playing. Appreciate that. All right, so let's see where this is going to take us. Oops, I wasn't driving, so I'm back at the beginning. Ooh, don't unveil. We're going to unveil the. I don't want to show them what's coming up. Okay, folks. So here we go. All right. So we're going to, as we classically like to do, we want to empower you today, this morning, in some breakout rooms. These are going to be random breakout rooms, and with Zoom. I know some of you are Teams players, so we will also comment on that. On Zoom, there's a built-in function for breakout rooms where you can come up and you can, the host of the meeting can set this up when the meeting's going on. It's just a couple clicks, and you can say, I want to hold random, I want to put my students in random breakout rooms, and I'm going to see how many rooms I want, and then it automatically does that and assigns people away. So it's a very nice function. Teams, you can also do that. Remember that in Teams, and Tim and James can correct me if I'm wrong, but in Teams, your groups are called channels. You would put students into channels and they can be by function or by whatever you're asking them to do as well. So both of them have kind of team breakout room functionality. So we're going to ask you, here's our classic roles, as you know, captain, technoscribe, timekeeper, and reporter. So when you get to be with your folks today, we're going to ask you to have somebody step up, and maybe you want to do this today. Maybe by Friday you're feeling frisky and feisty and you're like, I've never been technoscribe, let me try it, right? So I want you folks to figure out who's going to do what, and I'm going to show you what your challenge is going to look like. All right, what's in the top corner? I don't know, just saying, of the screen. Deborah, thank you for your dramatic excitement about the top 10 challenge that's still going on, folks. You still have a chance to win prizes. All right, so breakout room tips here. You folks know this by now, but it is really important to help students understand what their roles are. And you know that from Simulated Workplace, so I just want to throw that up. All right, so I hope you're excited about this. I am. I'm freaking excited about this. All right, we're going to apply 6S. The 6S, which is another Simulated Workplace protocol from Lean Manufacturing. Doug Sands, I hope you're standing up. I hope you're jumping up and down on this because, man, he is a 6S machine. And so are several of you, actually. So you can help out in the breakout rooms. For those folks that may not be as familiar with 6S, just on the screen, I would love to have our experts help us out here. But we're going to apply the 6S methodology to team meetings to address the challenges that just came up on the top. We think this is a really good time. So I did want to do this, though, if I could, and it's going to be a little awkward just because I drive awkwardly, but I want Jed Metzler earlier in the week had reminded me, he got put in the chat, he was like, do you remember a couple years ago when you came and worked with Simulated Workplace coaches? Now this is like pre-Mr. Elliott and pre-Mr. Coble. This is like back in, this is like, I don't know, Dr. D'Antoni and I were around, I can say that. That's Doug Sands was there, though, I remember, because he jumped all over this. So there was a game. I was working, and I had shared this 5S, excuse me, it was 5S at the time, 5S Lean Manufacturing game that you could do with students. And it's a very kind of easy way. It works with numbers, and it demonstrates to students what the 5S's are. So it starts, and it has them explore, and it's a challenge game. But I wanted to show you something very quickly. They have created that as an online version. Yes. So I put this in, I know nobody else is excited, but listen, I put the link to this game in your action agenda because it's freaking fabulous. So you get in here and you start, you can just get on, it's free, and your students can do this. So if you have new students coming in that are not that familiar with 5S, and then you can loop in the safety as the 6S, have them play this game. It works just like the one on paper. It makes it kind of sync as to what the 6S's are. Like, what do you mean by sort and straighten and shine? Like, what does that mean? This is worth it. I love it. So I just wanted to show you that I provided that to you in your action agenda. Anybody else thumb up? Anybody want a thumbs up on that? I hope so, because I was really thinking of you folks, man. Jed gave me that idea. Thank you, Jed Metzler, for being on it all the time. Appreciate that. All right, so here's going to be our challenge, because I got a little bird walk in there, but I thought it was worth it. All right. Oops, that's wrong. Oh, no, it's not wrong. It's right. Okay, so here's what we've done. We've put you into breakout rooms. We're putting you into random breakout rooms, but you want to pay attention to, we're going to, let's see, Bob, if we give the number of the breakout room, can I ask you about that? Are the breakout rooms numbered?
I've got them renamed. You're either going to be in green, sort, set, shine, standardized, sustain, safety, or blue, sort, set, shine, standardized, safety.
You're the man. That's right. So notice you're going to be assigned, your breakout room is going to have a color designation, and it's going to have, and if you're colorblind, your folks will help you out.
It's written, yeah.
It's green and blue. Green and blue. And you're going to be assigned today an S, one of the S's. And so we're going to give you some time to really wrap your head around this. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask you to finish this, and we have a link for activity slides in your agenda. So your TechnoScribe is going to want to find that activity slide link and pull it up and share their screen. And you folks can do your typing like you've been doing this week if you've been with us, and figure out these, figure out the answers to these questions. So I would love it if you would be willing to tackle one of the 3 top ones, choose whatever one you want, and tackle that. All right. So, so you can figure that out, right? We're going to apply this work that you're going to do to the top 3. So let's think about this. The squares ask you, You're going to be, let's say you're assigned S as sort. You're going to think about what an example is and offer up an example to everyone about sort from your industry, any industry you choose. And how does that sort apply to team meeting? That's an interesting question. We want you to really think hard about that. Why does sort matter? So how does it apply and why does it matter? And then your final square, bottom right, is what are possible techniques to make sure that that S is applied to your team meetings, that you are sorting, your students are sorting in their team meetings. Very interested to see what you come up with. This is an interesting challenge. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and look at this according to the top 3 that came out on your Mentimeter, on your poll. Got it? All right, let's do a dramatic pause and see if there's any uncomfortable or comfortable or questions or suggestions before we rally you off to your meetings. And I'm going to tell you how much time we have.
I did put the link to the activity slides in the chat. I'll put it one more time.
That's awesome.
That's easier.
All right, so we are going to take, so we're going to give you, and let's see, we would be, if we took 20 minutes, we're going to be at, should we shoot for 15 or 20? Do you all want to roll in a break?
Let's do 15 and we'll come back and break before we share out.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so folks, we're going to send you into breakout rooms. If you're going to be the timekeeper, we're going to ask you to set your timer for 15 minutes so you can help keep rolling. And we will be chatting with you as we do in breakout rooms. We can send you messages and reminders. So we're going to set for 15 minutes and then we're going to come back. We'll take a break and we'll debrief because, man, we're excited to see what you come up with this. Deborah, Bob, did you notice any other questions in the chat?
That was it. They're ready to rock and roll.
They're ready to rock and roll. Okay, great, folks. Okay, you enjoy that 6S and get your activity slide up and rolling. And remember, color, and you have a certain S that you're working on. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Enjoy.
As a job, we've put down the timekeeper, reporter, technoscriber, facilitator. You know, this works with the collaborative groupings. So that's what we had.
I picked you because of that whole idea of the differentiation. I think that that's fantastic in the term of sort, thinking about the student team meetings. I think that was one of the things that really stood out to me on your slide.
Yeah, great to see you, Miss Bunch. Thank you for joining us. It's great. She's one of the fearless leaders at Moftai. Yeah, I was curious, Deborah, do you think the blue sort group, could we ask if they wanted to add anything to that?
Well, that's funny that you said that because I was just getting ready to go to their team thing and say, blue team sort, did you have any other ideas about sort? We are on the same wavelength, sister.
So as far as, sorry, let me get my stuff adjusted. I mean, we're still, I'm kind of like the last group. I'm not really sure, you know, if we kind of fell into the bracket, but this is kind of where our conversation led. And when my automotive shop, this is where most of at least the first part came from, just to convey my idea for sort, it's, if I have sockets, you know, for instance, you know, just in a pile, I'll spend 10 minutes trying to sort through them myself. But if they're sorted and I wanted to bleed over into standardized, but I won't encroach on that. But if they're sorted and standardized, or even electrical probes, there's, you know, 15, 20, 25 different electrical probes for different size terminals. Those, you know, are just ease of access and you can get to them quicker. It just makes it a lot more functional. For that. Do you want me to go through the other three, or is that kind of, I know you got a lot to get to.
Well, just even thinking about like in terms of how, if there was anything that you wanted to add with the green team, but Kathleen, I think that they did well, right?
Oh yeah, thank you, Jed, appreciate that. Yeah, I love the mention of an agenda. Like, it's fascinating, folks, to think about when you're thinking about sorting and you're thinking about sorting applied to team meetings, right? If we noticed in that ineffective viewpoint of meetings, that there was, and I think it was Chef that nailed it. He was sort of like, look, man, you have to have a clear focus. You have to have a clear objective for your meeting. And so students need an opportunity to sort their thoughts about meeting. Like they need to come into a meeting with a clear idea of what's going on. So it's great that they were like, this group also was thinking about, okay, not only, I love the differentiation of the groups, and I also love this idea of like expectations start from the beginning.
I know the word kept coming up with us, linear too. You know, I'm very like a linear thinker, and you know, just having a beginning and an ending point and moving things in progression, OCD, CDO, you know, however you want to say it, but you know, just you like that, it's alphabetical. Anyway, you know,
I like it. I might get touched myself.
just to be able to have that structure, but linear, I believe Ms. Kreitz came up with that. You know, just it kind of really set forth what I was trying to say with the agenda and everything else. So.
Yeah,
I like that idea too, because I think sometimes our students struggle with linear. They're like splatter pages, you know what I mean? Like they don't, it's like, blah! To get that linear idea that some things have to go into a progression is something that is a great thing that we need to model for our students.
yeah. And Bob, chirp in if you wanted to add anything in terms of the, you know, of the thinking. I would love to do a shout out again with Ms. Torres bringing up the social emotional piece about where our students are, because if we think about bringing them into student team meetings, we also want to think about where they are mentally, and they need to be able to sort themselves mentally, which might mean they need our help to write, you know, to kind of process the social emotional stuff that's going on with them and clearing their mind. And there are techniques to doing that. It sounds kind of crazy Buddha, but there are techniques to like, how do you do that big corporate folks use in terms of really setting themselves an intention. So sorting for that. Bob, anything?
No, that's spot on. That's exactly where I was going with that. Give them, you know, just a couple of minutes to kind of unload what's going on at home. There are a lot of techniques out there, like Kathleen said, and then once they get that out of their system, hopefully, because you guys know high school kids going to come into your room with some drama, right? Mm-hmm. Once they get that off their chest, then they can get down to business. But there's got to be that you sort it out. This is for this time, and then now we're going to start our meeting with the rest of the S's.
Yeah, thank you so much. And folks, feel free to throw in the chat box, you know, other ideas. Thank you, Deborah, for that S.
I need to see some shine. So let's go to blue team shine. And I have to say it like that, shine.
That's a potential entrepreneurial activity for.
Hi, I'm shining outside today. I'm at home. I'm Linda Coulter, Pro Start, St. Albans High School. How are you all? So sorry for the look. I didn't expect to be on camera.
I actually think you look beautiful. That rocking chair and those trees.
I
want to be right there with you.
I'm out here with the hawks and everything.
Oh,
so the team, I mean, you can read on the screen. I think we came from the team came together from different areas. And as you can read, we talked about how we encourage the students to keep the work areas clean, maintaining and sanitizing, and how difficult that would be to have them sanitize everything all the time, and that they can't necessarily work in a team, even though at St. Albans we're working in group pods so that we separate our pods. We didn't talk about that, but that's what we're doing. And how do you manage in the team meeting? We make sure that the language stays clean, the good manners, when the student facilitates the meeting, whoever the team leader is. The S meeting in the student team meetings, how to be professional, how to teach them to be professional, what that means in the classroom and in the workplace. And then I'll let you read the 3 techniques used to execute in the student team meetings. I think the thing that came out is that the team leader is the team leader, and that as teachers or instructors, we facilitate with the team leader and let them lead and let the students decide how the team meetings are going to be focused on what their agenda is for that day. So it's kind of shine sort of goes in with all of them, all of the sub-S. I keep calling it sub-S. It sounds like the Sub-S Chapter Corporation. Sorry. I don't know why my mind went there this
About
morning.
the shine piece. So that automatically you think polish, and how do you appear polished, and how does your organization appear polished and professional? You know, that in my mind, polished and professional always go hand in hand. Kind of like, you know, Lori had mentioned my headshot here. That's polished, right?
Yeah.
But this is Bob.
Well, that's me. Now, I'm not polished today. The makeup is not on. You know, I do have earrings in, so I'm dressed. But you know, how do you teach them to do that? And the shine is also, I think, what we didn't talk about is how you present yourself as a facilitator or the team. I mean, truly the head of the classroom. How do you present yourself every day? Are we in our uniforms? Do we look like we're ready to go on to the work? How do you talk to each other? And I guess I'm very, I'm old school because I'm old. I start with the manners. Every child that walks through my classroom, I greet them one way or the other. So I teach by leading or by example. So, but we didn't talk about that. That's just my personal opinion.
Miss Linda, I love you.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'll tell
nice to meet you too.
It's nice to meet you, and I'm already in love with you, darling.
Okay,
No,
good deal.
And the one thing that I picked from this, you know, as I'm going through and looking at the ones that catch my eye, the S about the professional tone, the clean language, the good manners. It's really a huge thing. And I you know, I always bring it back to my 15-year-old son. The music that they listen to, the mainstream music that they all listen to, the mainstream shows that they watch, everything is very normalized now with being just mouthy. The language is mouthy. Students really think it's okay to just be like mouthy with you or off the cuff. And
In your face.
Yeah. And like I said, everything that I watch, what he watches or listens to, that's very normalized. So we're really having to pull back on that situation and say, it's not just a common sense thing that you talk to adults in a certain way. Because when I say to him, would you talk to your teacher like that? And he looks at me like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that explains a few things. But other than that, but you know what I mean? Like that snappiness and that, you know, knowing that you need to just be gentle with people and open doors and do those kinds of things. It's something that we have to go back now and reteach. So I really love that you put that shine on there. Let's continue with the precedent that we set just a moment ago and just ask the green team, Shine, if there was any. Oh, I don't think they got anything in there. Did you have anything to just add to that green team? They're like, nope.
I think she did a great job.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jenny.
So I did, but I don't see the stuff that I typed.
May I ask if maybe you accidentally put it in a different slide, maybe? Nope, I don't see it. Well, that's okay. So was there any kind of discussion or anything you wanted to add to that?
So under S from industry, can I share my screen?
Absolutely. Let me stop sharing. So it came up on yours, but not mine, huh?
I don't know where I am.
We'll have to troubleshoot that.
There's Jenny's work.
Nice.
Group. Awesome. Thank you, Jenny.
Sorry about that. I don't know what I've done.
Maybe I need to refresh my document.
The example that we have, workstations should be clear of clutter. Equipment should be functioning properly. In your team meeting, we debated whether it would be like an in-person team meeting or virtual, so we went with the virtual. Your team meeting area, excuse me, should also be clear of clutter. Be aware of what's happening in your area, what's behind you. You don't want pictures of your family up on the wall. You don't want a pinup calendar up on the wall. Things like that. We didn't write it down, but you know, a quiet area. Test your software before the meeting begins. Make sure it's functioning properly. Techniques lend with that. So you want to practice daily. You want to practice in person, and you also want to model. So if we get to see our kids, we want them to come in, we want them to sit down, and we want them to go through the meeting just like they were at home, but at school. So we can be there to help them. If they can bring in their own devices to use those with us there to help them, that is a plus. Test their equipment is a technique. Discuss expectations ahead of time. So if you want it, you teach it, you model it, things like that. I didn't think about language being as part of Shine, but I can see that. That's a definite. Ensuring everything that is clean and functioning and limits distractions, and that really will reduce stress.
That's awesome.
And it's a new experience, and they will be stressed. And you have to really watch the distractions from the background, because I think even yesterday I was busy looking at everybody's background, and I lost a little bit.
Yes.
Ginny, if I could piggyback, thank you for bringing that up. So I was thinking about this last night when I was, getting my mind mentally ready for the challenge of you folks and the 6S and the idea of 6S'ing meetings. And you bring up an interesting point. And I was wondering, I wonder if that could be a simulated workplace virtual protocol, that you have team backgrounds, that the digital media folks in your center could, those students could offer to develop virtual backgrounds for.
You broke up.
Uh-oh, we lost her for a sec. Oh, there.
Yeah. Well, we discovered last night, Pepper is a TSA state officer, and they had a Teams meeting, and she used her phone, and we discovered last night that the backgrounds are limited. She could put herself in, what was it, a stadium, Pepper? Yeah. In the stadium setting, but she couldn't choose a background in Teams. Now, when she did Zoom calls on her phone, she popped up different backgrounds. And
Gotcha. So it depends on I gotcha. Yeah, I just think
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think CTE is an excellent place to put that, but that's a wonderful idea of having that uniform background for their Zoom meetings.
Oh, I wondered. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Okay, so he has uploads on he's uploaded simulated workplace guidance, the document. Excellent. Deborah, real quick, so that for sake of time, is there one more slide that you just standardize or something that you want to quickly highlight?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Elliott, by the way.
Standardize.
Let's see if they have a reporter.
I can report on that if you'd like, Dr. McNally.
Sure, thank you.
So when we looked at standardizing industry, we were talking about having written documentations and protocols of how each task should be done to ensure quality. The example we used was Kellogg's cornflakes. Doesn't matter what factory it comes out of, you always want them to taste the same. Standardize within a virtual meeting it would be for the students to have protocols in place for communication and understand how when it's your turn to speak, so you're not talking over other people, and then to ensure a structure exists within the meeting that allows all the members to participate equally. Why does it matter? Because we decided that without this kind of standardization, you don't really have a meeting. You have a lecture of one person telling everybody else how things are going to be. Nice. 3 techniques we looked at. We decided to get the students to create the structure for communication. One of the things we like is, I think it's in Zoom, you can raise your hand if you want to speak, and I think you can do the same thing in Teams. Another thing we looked at was to make sure that the protocols are circulated in advance, so that everybody knows how to operate within the meeting.
Love, love, love that.
And I think that's everything we came up with.
Oh, that's fabulous. Fabulous. Well done. The blue standardized, just quickly, anything you would like to piggyback on? Nice. Nice, Ginny. Socratic circle.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now you're speaking my language. Yeah. Standardized in blue. Does anyone want to add anything very quickly? Getting everyone the same supplies like that.
Assist with others. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Kathleen, I'm going to throw it back to you, my love.
Okay. All right. So let's dip into, thank you so much, Deborah, for pulling their thoughts. I will share my screen, right? And we'll see about rolling.
I love a good chance to talk.
That was really well done. Thank you so much. Real quick, I want to challenge you to jump into a, let's see if that comes up, to a chat, a focused chat request, because there were a lot of key things that were shared there. What's one thing that you heard that resonated from your colleagues as they were reporting out from any of the S's that you say, I'm committing to this? It's like a little micro movement. For my team meetings this fall, I'm going to make sure of blank. Put it in the chat. We're going to 6S our meetings. Put it in the chat. One thing.
Getting some professionalism and definitely clear expectations, standard backgrounds, being consistent, having an agenda and following it. One of my weakest areas, something I'm trying to tighten up. Professionalism, continuity, quality control.
Nice.
Be OCD or CDO.
Dead. That's great.
Having a goal. Jed, I'll never forget the CDO thing. That is so perfect. That's an oxymoron of having OCD, somebody with OCD, and having the letters out of order.
That's great. Thank you, folks. Thank you for, I know. Thank you for bringing that, kind of summarizing that for us in terms of your priorities of what you've heard. There were some really, really savvy suggestions there. You know, anything from sharing protocols ahead of time, because that's spot on, right? Making sure that you really do honor, you know, team time, that time needs to be honored. You have to think of it as, if you want to have the most, if you want your students to move forward, and that was one of your top 3 challenges, that it's very difficult for students sometimes to move their work forward. Yes.
And might I add that that action agenda is another thing that really can help. You know, you can share that action agenda ahead of time with those students, and have those things standardized where, you know, by a certain day, you're going to have that action agenda. You're going to be, that helps so much for you. It's just a one-stop way of making sure everyone's on the same page. You can send it to a parent, you can send it to your administrators or whatever. It's just such a quick and easy way to handle that. I love the way that Kathleen and Bob do theirs as well.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So thank you for digesting that or dissecting that through the 6S lens, which I also think is a really awesome protocol. And I put in your, just FYI, in your action agenda, I put an interesting link to a blog or an article about applying 6S, 5S to your life. So I thought that was really interesting, right? Because it can really be applied. So for just a few moments, and then we're gonna wrap up with our last exercise, which is sort of a fun, feisty Friday feel. We're gonna end just a few minutes early, but I would love to share with you a few quick tools, tech tools, that can really help with what you just described as your goals for students, right? Making sure that they are on task, clear expectations, they can move the work forward. And I have asked our colleagues, our power team from the Department of Ed, to jump in as well. So I'm going to ask them to spotlight a few things. First, I just wanted to point out to you something because I think it's really spot on. Mr. McCormick, I've watched him use these before, and I really appreciate that he takes the time to do this in his team meetings, and they are contracts. So when students are expected to work together toward a common goal, it's really helpful for them to understand the dynamics of how they're going to, not only how they're going to work together, which some of you mentioned norms and protocols, but what the intent of the work is. Like what are those milestones? What do we need to get to in order to get to our goal? And they need a chance to think through that. That's an excellent skill set. So I put in your action agenda a link to a contract, an example student contract that could be a great place for you to start if you don't use those. And students can decide. So that's a tool that you can use to differentiate, as Ms. Bunch said. You might have a crew of students that are looking at you when you say contract and they're like, I don't even understand why you would, what are you talking about, right? So you could pull that up and you could offer them to make some choices about the offerings around the norms, and they could do their own contract from that one. You could take it and your students could customize it. You could also take that contract and think about it in terms of what it looks like in your industry. So if you have a job, I've seen Mr. McCormick use them very specifically around IT jobs, which I thought were great because certain industries have their version of a contract for jobs. And students, that helps them frame their work. It helps them focus, set their intention. And then their team meetings will stay much more focused. I wanted to point that tool out for you. I also put in your action agenda a fun way, a virtual post-it notes. So there's a link to different ideas of sources for virtual post-it notes so that if you want to engage your students this fall in asking them to develop norms that they're going to work with you on, you can use virtual post-it notes with them to do it. So they can use an affinity and they can move them around, and it's just a lot of fun. So I wanted you to have that one in mind as well. All right, so some tools quickly of the trade. You folks mentioned a meeting agenda. I have one of those in your action agenda. It's called the 30-minute meeting agenda. It's a very, very tight template. If you have students that have trouble keeping focused in their meetings, you can start, and I appreciate that Mr. McCormick's group said do it ahead of time. So you could actually practice 30-minute meetings with your students so that they're really focused on it and they can get a lot done. Ground rules, you mentioned those. Minutes, you want to make sure students get in the habit of summarizing, and that's a great role for the Technoscribe, and this is a great literacy skill, summarizing the outcomes of the meetings and making sure those are posted for everybody to see. In fact, have you ever gone to a meeting where there weren't any minutes taken and you walk away and then a day later you're like, what was decided at that meeting? What were we supposed to do? Yeah, you know the feeling. Sometimes that happens. And then I wanted to show you quickly this, and I'm going to ask Mr. Coble and Mr. Elliott to be on deck because they're also going to do a quick spotlight about Microsoft calendars, and Mr. Elliott's going to mention how this works in Teams. But I wanted to show one other favorite tool of ours, which is Trello. And Trello is an opportunity for students, teams. They are project management boards. Teams can rally, and they're all developed to be handy to move work forward. So they're set up with timelines. You can form mini groups. You can assign responsibility. People can check in and point out what they've accomplished. So I wanted to show you very quickly, and my colleagues can let me know if this is working on the screen, that if you go to Trello.com, I think this is awesome. You'll see, can you see that, Ms. Deborah? Awesome. Okay, just quickly, folks, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I know we're coming down to the end of our time together. But you'll see, which I think are great, if you look under templates, so Trello is, you can sign up and start for free, and there are templates organized by different kind of business types, right? So there are business Trello boards, which are awesome, right? And you'll see some examples. So your students have to explore these. There are, hey, Steve, thinking about you, girl. There are design templates. She's a good designer. Education templates for our career ed folks, engineering templates, and this Trello is already hardwired to Teams. It's already an option for Teams. So you can go right there and you can invite your students to explore. Miss Canterbury Penn, there are marketing boards. She's an awesome marketer. And of course, there are project management boards. And I thought this was interesting. There are boards for remote work. So wouldn't that be fun to have your students say, what's designed on a remote work board that's different? Like, could we use this as a way because your number 2 on the survey was, my students have trouble moving their work along. So it's great to build in some project management strategies into your team meetings. So Trello, I think, is a great opportunity for that. Thank you for letting me share quickly. Could I ask our Department of Ed, Mr. Elliott or Mr. Coble, would you like to jump on and share your ideas behind, let me get back to my slide, sorry. While we're doing that, would you like to take the mic and share about either calendars or how it's set up in Teams?
Absolutely. So there's a few different options that you can actually go through when you're setting up your calendar. So what James and myself do, we actually share our calendars with each other so we can actually see, you know, what we're doing when we're doing. I actually put 2 YouTube links in the chat that have been very beneficial. I really like this individual. He's a former Microsoft HR person who now runs his own YouTube channel. And the first one that he goes over is how to use Booking. I am absolutely a huge fan of Microsoft Booking right now. It allows you to set up virtual office hours, and the students can sign up for when you say, I'm available. So if Virginia at Calhoun Gilmer says, you know, my virtual office hours are between 3 and 4 o'clock, she can put it out there, and then it's up to the students to click on that and to set it up. And within Booking, it automatically sets up the team meeting. It sends everybody an invite, and it puts it on both individuals' calendars. So I am a huge fan right now of Booking. So I think it's like a 7 or 10 minute video on how to set it up. And it also allows you to use a URL. So if you have, and we have many of great websites that students and teachers have created for their program of study, it allows you to use the URL and plug it directly into your website. So you don't have to put it on Teams if you don't want to. And it also allows you to do like virtual parent-teacher conferences. So parents can book time and say, hey, my student's really having a hard time with this virtual. What can you do to help, or what can we do? Because that's the true answer, to help them. The second link I put in YouTube is how to create a shared calendar inside your classroom. So it's how do we actually set up a calendar that everybody within our team can have access to. They can see, you know, it's kind of like having that calendar up on the wall that we all do. I know James and myself were, even though we're techies, we still had that. And James made fun of me when he came over to my house on Sunday. There's a massive calendar on my fridge that my wife keeps, and she always says if it's not on that calendar, it doesn't exist. Even though we have a shared calendar on our phone, if it is not on the fridge calendar, I am not allowed to do it. So
Yeah,
it kind. Go ahead, James.
Very smart woman. Very smart woman.
Yeah. So Tim, I noticed when we first started working together, there's an ability that you have with your calendars in iPhone or within your 365 accounts where you can delegate who sees your calendar, and you can color code things. And I thought that was very interesting, and tried to share it out with my family members as well. And the thing is they want things hard copied, and I was like, man, Tim is so tech savvy. I'm sure that he never puts anything down on paper. He's got it all digital. And then I got to go to his house, and it's like, there's a wall with a calendar. There's a wall with a calendar. There's one on the fridge. No, it was very cool though.
And James brought up a great point. In that second YouTube video, he also goes over how to share a calendar. So somebody talked about, you know, booking with parent-teacher conferences, but shared calendar. So I can see Mr. Gilman's calendar. If I need to schedule a meeting, I can pull up and it says what's going on, what he's doing. All of our secretaries or specialists. So Kelly and Edie has access to my calendar at any time, because if they need to yell at me for something, they need to have access and see what I can do. So shared calendars are huge. And I'm not saying you have to make another calendar. I'm not saying you have to share your personal, your professional calendar, but it goes over in that YouTube video how to make a calendar that is access to the kids. You know, I'm not saying, like, I wouldn't want to share my personal calendar with everybody. It is shared with James and Rick because they need to know, but I wouldn't share that with the students. So you can make your own and share that out to where everybody has access. And you can also set it up. If you've looked at anybody's Outlook, mine's bad, where it has like different callers. One of those callers can be that shared, you know, green is the shared Outlook and things like that. So yeah, watch these two. And also, if you are a huge YouTube person, subscribe to this guy. He also, when the new stuff comes out for Teams, he does a really good video on, hey, this is out for Teams. This is how you enable it. James picks on me all the time, and so does Kathleen, about, hey, Zoom has breakout sessions. Teams is getting breakout sessions. He talks about it in there. We're hoping in September we're getting them.
Awesome.
So he'll do an awesome video on how to set them up. So just subscribe, and I get nothing. I mean, I think he's a really good YouTuber.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. If you don't mind dropping those links in again, that'd be awesome, just because you pique people's interest. So I appreciate you sharing all those resources, booking and the use of calendars. Mr. Coble, anything you'd like to add to the idea of the resources?
When Tim starts talking about utilizing the calendar and billing them out and setting dates, the kids can visually see through colors what's being assigned to them. There are a ton of Gantt chart and burn down chart softwares, Scrum softwares that we've been messing with and playing with, but no one is better than the other that I've seen, Tim, unless you think otherwise. I'm not sure. But the Gantt chart piece, you can look up these softwares. There's a lot of free ones out there, and just kind of play with them and see which one fits you best and the things of your understanding best. They're all pretty much a great overlap between them. I would like to put the plug in on those channels. Make sure when you're setting them up that that front loading is and you have some intent in it. Because if you don't, switching a calendar, adding a sub channel to a channel is not a thing yet. So you want to make sure that you've got the team you want and the channels that you do want to have, because after that, changing it is atrocious.
Ah, good advice. Thank you so much. So sub channels or not, don't go to sub channels, people. Keep with your channels. There is no sub channel. So you want to think, yes, you want to think through your channels up front, right? I think what you're saying. Appreciate that so much. Yeah.
And Mr. Sands is on this line, so he also knows that when you create these teams, you make someone else an owner and you step off of them. Remember that someone else is still left with those 75 teams you just add them to. It's like team spamming.
Oh yeah, team spamming. That's crazy. Right. Appreciate it, gentlemen, very much. Thank you so much. And if you have other ideas from anyone in our group, feel free to use the chat to spread the love. Appreciate that so much. And so I know Mr. Coble, it's funny because sometimes he may sound like he's talking a third language because he is, and when he talks about scrums and Gantts. And so if you're not from the world of potentially engineering or lean manufacturing or that world, that may not sound familiar to you, but bottom line is there's a lot of cool tools, and Trello is one of them, that helps students manage their work. It helps them move their work along and have some, a calendar. It's time-based. They can set up goals. They can move the work along. You can visually see it, and students need that. And so we're just throwing out some ideas for you on that. I appreciate that so much. I think we're at the time now where we're going to wrap for the ride, and we're going to challenge you from, especially you folks. We love that we've had a core group all week. I think from Calhoun Gilmer, from MOVTI or MOVT, and from South Branch. So love having you with us, and we love having all the folks that have come in from other places too. So colleagues, do you think it's about time that we practice this, we roll out the game? Yes, okay, super. All right, so let's give that a shot. Help me here. So here's what we'd like to do. It's not exactly bingo, but we're going to ask you to play. So we're going to throw out a question, and I'll ask my colleagues to help me with that, what question would work. And then when we throw out a question, we're going to ask you to use whatever annotate, either a stamp or an arrow or whatever, and you're going to vote. And you only get to vote on one. You only get to pick one, put your annotation, not like a bunch. Bingo, like if you call a number, you get to go all over the place. That's not it. So you're going to just vote on one, and we're going to see if we can get a whole row and see who scores a whole row. You're going to need to keep your own score because we didn't want to ask you to use the arrows with your names. You can if you want, so we can see if you're proud of your answers, but you can also just use a heart or stamp or whatever. All right. So Deborah or Bob, if you have the opportunity to pick a question, we're going to ask you a question, and then we're going to ask you to annotate which square you would vote on for the answer. Oh, thank you, Jed, for arrowing me. Great. All right, so do you want to pick a question? Let's go for it and see if it works.
A top 10 question or just a question in
No,
general?
I'm
about-
sorry, the questions that Bob shared with us, or Bob, do you have them handy? I'll get them. I just didn't want to move my screen.
I thought I was muted. I've got them right here.
Okay, so pick one and ask away.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so what would be a good platform for students to show you what they can do? What would be a good platform for students to show you what they can do? Question number 2.
Wait, Bob, if you don't
Okay.
mind, let's just see, let's give them a second to vote because I want to see where the majority comes up and see what we think.
Okay.
Because we've got some different answers, don't we? Okay, we're not going to talk about it now. But please keep track of where you are with your bingo. Okay, Bob, second question. Or do you want to talk this one first?
What is a good tool for providing students with small group collaboration time?
Ooh. Yeah, there's definitely a standout favorite for that one. Love it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Number 3, what would be a good platform to give students immediate feedback?
Ooh, immediate feedback, folks. Oh. Now you said give them, right? So you're giving them feedback.
You're providing them feedback.
Okay, so think about that. Don't vote lightly, people. Ooh, the chat feature. I see some annotate. A little love for
More than
Edpuzzle.
one right answer, that's for sure.
Pardon? Yes. Flipgrid, a little love for Flipgrid. Awesome. Okay, can we try one more? And let me know if you get 4 in a row.
What is an application that helps guide project management?
Oh, okay. We got some Trello love. Looks like we have some Google Docs love. Excellent. Anybody get 4 in a row yet? Close.
What's a good platform for holding a synchronous meeting?
Ooh, that's like a trick question. You're going to have to remember synchronous, people. Help me out there. Oh, I love it. Synchronous meeting. Nice. All right, so we got some love for the slides.
What's a good
Breakout.
platform for recording asynchronous instructional videos?
Ooh, asynchronous. Ooh, lots of YouTube love. Any other tools out there jumping out as asynchronous lessons? Ooh, love it. Anybody 4 in a row? Anybody have your bingo? One more question, Bob. I know we can do it with
One more. This one should fill the block. What is a good way to formatively assess students' knowledge on a given topic?
Ooh, assess on a given topic. Oh my gosh.
Bingo's coming in on chat.
Chef McCormick has bingo, and then Chris has bingo. Awesome. Little John, can you unmute and share us your bingo?
Yes, I can. I have breakout rooms, a Trello, Edpuzzle, and Mentimeter.
Super. Can you, I know this is putting you on the spot, Little John, but can you remember, or what is it about breakout rooms? Why did you vote that? Like, what is the power of that for you?
Where students could work in small group collaborations.
Perfect.
Mentimeter was where we could get instant feedback from students. Edpuzzle is where they could do an amount of formative testing through watching the videos, and the video stop and there'd be questions on what they had just seen. And Trello was for the organizing of the students' work.
Fabulous. Well played. Something is coming to Calhoun-Gilmer with your name on it. Woohoo! Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for playing. I love it. I love it. And I think Chris, your colleague Chris was a close second, so you can, you'll share. You can share. He's always sharing. Thank you. Thanks, Bob, for helping with that. It was cool to see where their votes came out. Yes. So you know what? Ooh, I have to clean that up, don't I? Or Bob, can you clean the annotate off for me? Thank you. All right, folks. So I know we're down to the wire with time today. We appreciate you so much. It's been great. Would love to have you summarize for us as an exit ticket. Know how much we've enjoyed working with you. We hope you have some takeaways from this week. Please be in touch about, we'll make sure the recordings get out to you. Please be in touch if you want us to jump on for fun. Let us know what's going on with you folks. For our wrap up for this session about really tuning your team time, give us a bumper sticker. Throw a bumper sticker in the chat box. It can be Friday Frisky friendly about why should you tune your team meetings, or how would you tune your team meetings? We would love to see your idea of a classic bumper sticker. And Bob, do you think for this group we could have a little music to go out on?
I believe I can make that happen.
Oh, that'd be great. Folks, let us know of any follow-up requests. You have the access to all the agendas. All the links are yours. Thank you. A big shout out to our Department of Ed team for all your help and your suggestions and participating with us this week. Bob, Deborah, anything to add to this crew? No, it's just we love you. We think you're great. Thank you so much for all you do for your students. Let us know when we can visit. I want to bring Mr. Stokes to West Virginia. I'd love for him to see your centers. Department of Ed folks, anything you'd like to add, please feel free. Grab the mic. We appreciate all your hard work this week, everyone. And yes, I do need a new computer. I think that was in the chat.
Kathleen, where do you want our top 10?
Did you play the top 10? I am stoked. Was that Chris?
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, did you, can you email that to me, or is that possible?
Sure.
Awesome. It's kathleen.mcnally@sreb.org. I can drop that in the chat.
You all were so awesome this week. I love you, love you, love you. Powerhouse of West Virginia teachers right here.
Thank you for playing. Yes. Thank you for playing the top 10. Thank you, Ms. Kreitz. Love your group. Oh my gosh. Woo! Be well, everyone. Yeah. Great going out tune. Thanks, Chris, for being with us. You guys are great, man. We had fun people. Thanks, Calhoun-Gilmer. Thank you, Maltai. Dr. Hott, just bunch. You got a great group. South Branch. Man, you folks bring it. Thank you, individuals. Thank you for jumping in on us. Mike Sims. You love the playlist. Thank you, Jolynn. Oh, she's awesome.
Best part about this, it's their playlist.
I know, they put it together.
All their suggestions yesterday.
Be well, everyone.
Songs, they just picked through.
Oh, Bob, you just got an invitation, another invitation to come to Calhoun-Gilmer.
Cool.
Never knows that part of the world.
been meaning to spend some time in West Virginia.
Hey, Bob.
Dear Dr. Mack and Deborah and Bob, thank you so much for the training.
Bye,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate y'all.
See ya.
Great
Great
to be
weekend.
with you. Mwah.
Bye.
That was so nice of them to get together. Bob, if you have a second after this, I just have one technical question.
I will. Stay on it.
I kept my sister semicolon too long. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Got you, baby.
Bye, Ms. Renner. Do. I think everybody else is headed out, right?
Cracking me up. All right. Stop recording.